Well, let's bring in Dr. and Congressman Brad Wenstrup from Ohio, who joins us right now. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Very good. Now, I know this is not in your district, but in, is it pronounced Solon, Ohio? Middle school and an elementary school closed yesterday because a staff member may have traveled on the same plane as the Dallas nurse, the second nurse who got Ebola. Not even the same flight, because they wanted to inspect the schools, maybe take the precaution, disinfect it. Is that being a little too extreme? How do you view that?
Well, we're not really certain, to be honest with you, and I guess to err on the side of caution is not a bad idea. I know you were just talking a little bit about creating some calm, and I think that we do need to do that, but at the same time we have to be vigilant, and we have to be doing the right things. I think that when we talk about travel, we should be doing some kind of screening and vetting worldwide, and then even more so, more specifically, take even greater precautions in and out of West Africa.
Yeah, speaking of travel, what about the administration's continued resistance to the idea of at least temporarily banning flights from countries that have not done a particularly good job at quelling the spread of the virus?
Well, I think that's something that we need to take control of. People today, of course, travel from one country to the other. It's not always a direct flight, but I think we should be limiting our travel, like I said, do a worldwide screening in and out. But passengers do need to be screened. If you're leaving that area for some reason, it should be for a good reason. Either you're returning home to America or other countries, but you may need to be isolated for a while to make sure that you're not carrying the disease before they let you leave.
And we see these World Health Organization health organizations, literally the World Health Organization as well as our own CDC. They haven't exactly performed without flaw to this point. The WHO, you've got the Director General in Moscow talking about a global tobacco tax and worried about high energy drinks. And then the CDC can't seem to get on the same page with its own staff when it comes to enforcing the no-fly rule for those healthcare workers that were associated with caring for Thomas Duncan in Dallas.
Yeah, it's definitely a confusing time. I trained in Chicago, and I can remember it was 84, 85 when the first AIDS patient came to the hospital. And, we addressed that patient like it was a lunar landing because there were so many unknowns. And in this case, there seem to be more knowns, and I think that we need to take the proper precautions on what we do know, and in some cases side on the area caution to make sure that we're reducing risk.
Talking to Brad Wenstrup, who's a congressman from Ohio and also a doctor. Well, taking a survey of members of Congress and the Senate who are doctors. Rand Paul, who I believe is an ophthalmologist, right?
Correct.
And so he's not board certified in infectious diseases, but he did offer the opinion or speculation, I'm not sure, that maybe you can get it from a sneeze, within 3 feet. What's your view?
Well, I don't have the scientific evidence in front of me, and that's really for the experts to figure that one out. But I do think we should take caution even in that regard. We're talking about bodily fluids. In Africa, the reason it was spreading so quickly, one, it's one of the poorest places on earth. Two, they have a ritual when someone dies that they all take part in washing the body, and they do that almost immediately. So that led them to be very vulnerable to the spread of the disease, almost exponentially, as you can imagine. So I think we need to take those precautions. I think the concept of being isolated for a while before you travel, especially if you're leaving West Africa, one, it's got to be very necessary travel, and we take that precaution, and we ask the right questions worldwide as you leave and as you enter a country or get on or off a plane. Congressman
Wenstrup, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Congressman Brad Wenstrup. Coming up at 6:19, 58% of the country says we are going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, I'm not making this up. That was a Fox News poll. They actually used the words hell in a handbasket. Hell in a handbasket.